Good evening, everybody. I would like to greet you today with our special Zoom meeting, Herstory. And we have today a very precious and special guest lady from Slovakia. And it's my honor to introduce her. First, I will introduce myself. My name is Lubica Magnusson, and I am from Slovakia, and I am a high school teacher. But besides this, I work also in Women's Federation as the president of Slovak Women's Federation. So I am today very grateful that our today's guest, Mrs. Renáta Ocilková, accepted invitation, and she will tell us about her life story, her testimony from her life, and also from the project she is involved here in our country. I will just briefly introduce her, and then I will give the floor to her. So she is a graduate from Faculty of Education of Comenius University in Bratislava, and also Catholic University, Faculty of Social and Economic Science. She was also a student of Humboldt University in Berlin. She is currently she's working for Bishop Conference in Bratislava, and she was involved in the project with Roma people, especially with Roma women, and she will tell you more about it. And actually, I got to know Renata already. I think it was in year 2015, when we as Women Federation organization organized a workshop for teachers. It was on pre-teens lectures and how to educate children about specific matters like preparation for marriage and preparation for family. And there she came on invitation of my friend Dorota Šimekova, and it was our first encounter. And since then we are in very good contact, close contact, and we somehow follow each other and try to cooperate, especially in the field of education. Recently, it was last month, we organized one event which was a panel discussion. It was in Bratislava, and the name was what kind of sexual education is good for our children. Renata was one of our panelists there. And we are going to have similar event next week in another city in Nitra. We try to invite teachers and parents and those who are involved into education of children in our schools. So now I would like to give the floor to our dear guest, Renáta Ocilková. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for invitation, Lubka, and also of your all. Thank you for your time and for your interest. Okay, I was asked from Lubka to tell you about three parts of my life. I realized that today, 2 hours ago. No, I thought that only about one, but I will speak about three parts of my life, and that means at first I will speak or I will tell you about testimony, what happened, what important happened in my life. Second one will be about work with Roma women, and third one about educational activities, or about education area. Okay, I try to share my first presentation. It's very simply, but okay, I try. Does it work, Lubka?
No, we
No?
see it really small like before.
Okay. We prepared it for a long time and now it doesn't work.
Okay, I will try myself. Maybe these pictures, it's okay if I will see if it works.
I will try once again.
Okay, try it, please. Maybe if not, it can also be small. It's okay, like smaller, no problem.
Still not?
No, we can see it only, but it's
Okay.
okay. Just continue share with the.
Okay. So I was asked to tell also my personal testimony, so please accept my avowal. My purpose is to encourage you or each other with the aim of Lord of life and glory of Lord. When I was 19, I had just got my high school degree and I was in love. This wonderful period was shaken by something unexpected. One day, I began to have strong pain in the lower abdomen and my belly was getting larger and larger. After 5 days, I underwent a surgical operation. Histological results were very bad. I had a tumor as big as a baby's head. To be more precise, germinal yolk sac tumor of right ovary. Hope for survival, minimum. Chance to be mother, never. Specialized literature offered the following prognosis. The tumor is highly malignant. It rapidly develops at local level and generates metastasis in all possible ways. In terms of prognostic speculation, the histological type of yolk sac tumor is not meaningful. The tumor is radioresistant, so an adequate combination of chemotherapies and operation can prolong post-operatory survival. This is what literature says. During surgical intervention, they extracted the right ovary and then sent me to the oncology ward. Together with my parents, I learned that I will never be able to have children and that my life is highly threatened, that I had to undergo a second surgical operation and that all female organs must be removed. At that very moment, everything changed in my life. I lost my appetite and I had no more desire to live. I started to die. They transferred me to Bratislava. There they studied all material and information and repeated the histological exams. Then they confirmed the terrible diagnosis. The next step was not operation but chemotherapy. I suddenly had no more hair, no eyebrows, no eyelashes. My weight was about 36 kilograms. I suffered from all other relating symptoms. After 6 months of therapy, the checkup CT was performed. The results was one new tumor and metastasis in whole abdomen till the sacral region. After that, the next operation followed. During this operation, doctor experienced a shock. The results of CT examination were not confirmed. There were no metastases, no new tumor. They removed only part of my other ovary. When I woke up from anesthesia, the doctor told me, "You are healthy." will send you home to live. I went home and began to believe that I can live. I was still under oncological care and began to take up on weight, but during the chemotherapy, I lost my menstrual cycle. After about half a year, I asked my oncologist about that. I saw that he was afraid of how I was going to react to his answer. He told me, "It's normal. Your menstrual cycles will never return." Then I understood I will never be mother, really. After some time, my hair started to grow back, and I started to think about keeping studying. Suddenly, my menstrual cycle was back. No one of doctors was able to give me explanation to that. 9 years later, my fiancé, at that time a high school student, had become a doctor. After his and my graduation, we got married. He knew what future would be like with me. In spite of that, he never stopped loving me. And he still had faith. After about 3 years of marriage, I went back to the gynecological clinic with my diagnosis: sterile. A surgical operation followed. During this operation, the doctor observed that the remaining portion of my ovary had turned, wrapped the uterine tube, and grew further up to the intestine. After this operation, they advised me an artificial insemination. They told us that this is 100% reason for IVF. But we didn't want it, because at first we knew that the creation of a new life is not human competence, but is the competence of God. And second, we knew that during in vitro fertilization, they are not only creating embryos, but also killing them. We left everything in God's hands. About 3 months later, I found out that I was pregnant. Gravidity examinations showed very high risk of Down syndrome for our baby. Then the geneticist doctor informed me that after chemotherapy, there is a high risk of embryo damage. Of course, I was scared. This was really a difficult moment. But my husband was always telling me that the Lord knows our limits and our needs. And we left everything in God's hands. In July 2003, Laura was born. A wonderful baby with good health. When Laura was 8 months old and I was nursing her several times a day, we found out I was pregnant again with our second child. 7 months later, Leah was born, a beautiful and healthy baby. After these 2 pregnancies, I started to have problems relating to the fact that I had lived for 15 years with only a part of one ovary. My gynecologist told me that I will certainly have an early menopause. So he said that we caught our last chance to be pregnant. We were speechless when expressing our thanks to God for our 2 daughters. After this problem, I was pregnant once again, at the age of 36, but our baby died in 3rd month of pregnancy. I fell pregnant once again, with son. Mark Samuel was born when I was 38. At my 40, I fell pregnant again. But this baby also died during pregnancy. So we have 2 angels in heaven, in 3 here on earth. For nothing is impossible to God.
Can you show us the pictures, Renata?
I show you. You cannot see?
Just the first slide, but not.
Okay.
You can click, yeah.
I don't know how is it possible. I showed everything. Okay, I will try
Huh?
again. Now?
No, this is now we see the last slide. Thank you for your attention.
Huh?
Go from the beginning if it is possible and click on. Okay, so try the second. No, we see now at the beginning, the first slide. We see.
Wait.
Now we see.
Share the first. I will try again.
Yeah, these are very beautiful pictures. I saw them already, and really, everybody should. So now we see you are healthy. You.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I try now. Now you can see?
No, nothing is moving.
Okay, then perhaps I can see only with small. Okay. July 2000.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
October 2004.
Yeah.
January.
But can you start from the first one that you are with Marek in the completely first one? You cannot see, you know.
So
help from the daughter. Yeah, okay. So the first one, and maybe you can comment a little bit on these pictures.
Okay, that we are when we were 18 about. It was when I actually had to go to oncology. It was our first month of our love. It was when I was sick without hair. This is CT examination actually in August 1991. This very, very bad examination, the recidivity of tumor and metastasis. This is in hospital actually. I was in hospital. I was second time operated when I was 20. I had birthday in hospital.
And is this your mother?
Nine is sister of my mother, my aunt. Okay, this is what was said me. This is one of 100 controls. I was there with with my Marek, and this is our wedding day. And it already saw Laura, Lea with Marek, small, and this are we.
No.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. It was nice.
Okay, now I try a little bit easier. It was difficult also for me. Okay, I try to share another presentation.
Can you share the presentation?
I hope it will function now. Can you see that?
Yeah, we see the first slide. Yeah.
Okay. I will speak now, or I will tell you now about my Roma women. They are my friends. And I'm now working as a coordinator of Slovak Bishops' Conference for Roma Pastoral Care, but before I became coordinator, I was a volunteer in Roma mission for several years. Actually, how did it start? I would say that I now realized that this presentation percussion prepared for myself, my son. I think I cannot give back this. Okay. How did it start? It started actually with relationship, with friendship. After high school, I worked as a tutor in an orphanage where Roma children were entrusted to me. After a few months, I left the orphanage because I was accepted to university. I left my hometown in eastern of Slovakia, Vranov na Topľou, and I went to Bratislava. When I stayed and when I have studied, stayed and lived for 30 years, and I'm living here till now, till today. But about 15 years after I had left the orphanage, a girl named Emma, for whom I was a tutor, wrote me an email. We actually became friends at the time, 15 years ago. My joy was great when I found email from her. Next time when I came to my parents in Vranov, I met this friend of mine, Emma. She told
sorry, Renata, can you move the screen, the picture?
Yes.
That we can
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
She told me her story. After leaving the orphanage, she met a Roma man who lived in the Roma settlement. So she went to the settlement. She started to live a completely different life of poverty without basic hygiene needs. But after some time, evangelizers came to the settlement. They preached about Jesus Christ to them and she believed in him. Her life changed completely. The spiritual transformation made a total change of mind. There was no mental barrier between us. We became true friends. From that time on, I always stopped by their house when I came to the eastern Slovakia. And I got to know more and more families, more women, more Roma friends. In 2015,
we see still the first picture. Do you want to move a little bit forward?
In 2015, my husband and I were in Rome, and there were 5 Roma men with us on that trip. Beautiful, converted, working men. I talked to them a lot. Then I realized that even in the Roma community, men have more chances than women. That men are more likely to get out of the house, out of work for a trip, but women don't. At that time, the desire was born in me to dedicate myself to Roma women, to get them out, to show them something, to teach them something, to bring them further. And so in the summer 2015, I invited my friend Emma to join us together with some other friends. It wasn't easy. The husbands wouldn't let them in. I had to call each of them and ask for his wife. It was successful with 4 of the women. Unfortunately, not for Emma at this year. They came to us, they stayed with us. My husband paid all the expenses for this trip. We visited the historical center, the parliament, and the office of the deputy speaker of the parliament, the memorial. I really apologize. I cannot give it back. Ľubka, vy počujete tie bicie, čo mi tam bubnujú?
Nie. Ja nepočujem.
Aha, dobre, ok, tak v poriadku. To
ale jedine, Renátka, ty posúvaš tie obrázky?
Áno, a vy nevidíte?
Nie, my stále sme na prvom slajde.
Zase to nefunguje.
Sorry, I told her that we see only the first still. Yeah.
Skúsim to.
Now we can see summer 2015.
Okay. Okay, I will do it on this way again. Okay. Summer 2015, they came actually to us, as I said. They lived by us, and I was only organizer. We visited actually, as you can see, a couple of pictures from summer 2015. Actually, I would say one small remark. You can observe the development even in such a short period of time, even in such a more trivial thing, in facial expressions. At the beginning, the women were shy. After 3 days, they live with more self-confidence. Actually, after 3 days. Okay. After 1 year, 2016 and 16, I invited them again. They came 7 women to us. We visited the historical center of Bratislava, Memorial of Slavín, Bratislava Castle Restaurant, the Ministry of Education of the Slovak Republic. We were received by the State Secretary of the Ministry of Education. They wrote about us in the ministry website. A couple of pictures. Okay, can you see pictures?
Yeah, we can see now.
We were by State Secretary. And this is print screen of website. Roma women visited Ministerium of Education. Okay, 20 and 17. In 20 and 17, actually 20 women signed up for spiritual renewal and seminar for women in Bratislava. Most of them had never traveled by train, had never been to Bratislava, etc. It was a big challenge and big work for them. I realized that this could no longer be just a trip to the capital, but that I wanted to give it a better meaning, to take this trip to a higher level. So I organized it as a seminar for women. I gathered sponsors. In June 2017, I organized a preparatory meeting for them in the east of Slovakia, where we talked about the importance of the role of women in society according to the biblical woman Judith. But we also prepared for practical things, how they would travel, where they would stay, what kind of program we would have, etc. These pictures from this preparatory meeting. And in July 2017, I organized, 20 women came to Bratislava. The Secretary of State of the Ministry of Education came to visit us because 20 women would not fit in the office anymore. We had lectures by experts, a lawyer, a doctor, teacher on parenting, and teacher on literacy and financial literacy. Some of pictures. They studied and studied and studied, you can see. Okay, and we also visited something. We have trip. Okay, in summer 2018, already in the spring of 2018, Romani women wrote to me asking if there would be a seminar or spiritual retreat. I realized that if the interest grew, I didn't know where I would accommodate 30 women in Bratislava and how I could pay for it. So in 2018, I organized the seminar or meeting on spiritual renewal in the east of Slovakia at the Diocesan Youth Center in the Prešov region. There came 55 women. How fortunate that we organized the event in such a large facility where there was an opportunity to increase the capacity the day before the event. That is the beauty and adventure of working with Roma. They don't plan ahead. 3 days before the event, about 15 women were registered. The day before, almost 60 women. As you can see, a program or topic of the seminar was my education and my children's education. We looked for movie Gifted Hands about Benjamin Carr's. Actually, we watched the film Golden Hands, Gifted Hands, and discussed it. Poor black mother in America in 1960s, discrimination against black people. She raised 2 sons by herself. One day she banned them from TV and told them to read. Their lives began to change completely. Benjamin became the best student in school, got into high school, then medical school. He became the first neurosurgeon in the world to separate conjoined Siamese twins, Dr. Ben Carson. Mom's consistency in raising her sons completely turned their fortunes around for the better. Some pictures. 55 women. Okay, 20 and 19. They came again, 55 women. We were in east of Slovakia in Prešov. Organizer, we are already 6 women. From them were 2 Roma women. Program was actually during the renewal, we prayed for God to lead us out of the territory of sin, laziness, pride, addiction, and lead us into a new spiritual territory, that we would live holy, hardworking, honest lives, that we would lead our children to moderation and discipline, to reverence for God and parents. Okay, I will short it because the time is over almost. Okay, some picture from 2019. We had fun. I prepared some video, but I think we don't have time. Okay, some more pictures. Yes. August 20 and 20. They came 70 women. It was quite difficult because it was COVID time. It was difficult to organize, to testing. We needed confirmations, but okay, we did it. It came 70 women, as I said, mentioned already. And we prepared, the organizers was actually for Slovak women and for Roma women. Roma women became my very good collaborators. And lecturer was psychologist and educator from Teach for Slovakia and medicine doctor. The lectures were focused on spiritual formation, but also education, how to love and love a child from conception, how and why to accept him or her, how to play with preschool children, how to learn with school children. Some pictures. 70 women. Okay, July 2021, it came 80 women. We organized there 8 women, myself with 7 collaborators, also 4 Roma women. The lectures were focused on the education of preschool children, spiritual lectures, my sin against God, against my neighbor, family, against the community, society. One picture. And then August 2022, they came 90 women. I had actually 5 Roma women collaborators, organizers, and also lecturers. The lectures was focused on the identity of women and also who am I, where am I going, who is God for me. One picture. Okay, in between, actually, in addition to these meetings with women from several regions, in autumn or in spring, I have visited the women directly in their settlements where we have a common formation or education meeting and spiritual renewals for small group. For example, Lomnička, Šarišské Strabie, Hanušovce, Košice, Luník 9, Hencovce, and so on. I did some small graph development about number of participants, you can see, and development about organizers. It started actually with myself, with one person, one Slovak woman, and now we prepare it for Slovak women and for Roma women, actually, or more Roma women, 5 Roma women last year, and 3 Slovak women. And at the end, last but not least, I have here one idea from Audrey Hepburn. The beauty of a woman is not in the clothes she wears, the figure that she carries, or the way she combs her hair. The beauty of woman is seen in her eyes, because that is the doorway to her heart, the place where love resides. True beauty in a woman is reflected in her soul. Actually, this is the idea what I'm trying to give to my friends, Roma women. And actually back, it started with one relationship, with one friendship. Thank you for your attention, for your time. Okay, and the last one is topic about educational area.
If you have some questions, you can think about them, and at the end, you can ask directly Renata. But she has the second part now. It will be about education in schools. So I am actually amazed from this project. She just showed us. I heard about it, but I never saw it in such, deep and wide perspective.
Okay, and I will find the third one. Presentation. What a pity that it doesn't work for whole screen. But okay. We
were practicing, but it was not enough, not good enough.
Exactly, presentation. Okay, the third part of my story is educational area, that I'm also involved in the field of education. An area close to my heart is marriage and parenting education. Then I'm graduated 2 faculties of education of Comenius University and Catholic University, and I also attended international internships in German Bundestag and several international trainings focused on working with women, spiritual counseling and relationship, emotional and sexual education, and on working with people with same-sex attraction. For about 10 years, I've been lecturing in schools and animation schools on the topics of education for marriage and parenthood, the identity of women and men, as well as on bioethical issues. And in the last 3 years, the questions from teachers how to communicate with students about gender, homosexuality, transsexuality.
Pardon, Renata, can you move the slide, because
not yet.
Okay. Sorry.
Introduction, actually.
Okay.
In the last 3 years, the questions from teachers how to communicate with students about gender, homosexuality, transsexualism, but also preparation for marriage in fidelity and abstinence or absence have intensified so much that I have written down my lectures and made a book out of it. The book was released at the end of April this year and sold out in less than a month for the first edition. The book is called To the Young True. Can you see now second slide.
Only
Or-
the first. Only the first.
Ah, what a pity. Okay.
Okay. Mhm.
Okay.
Now we can see the second. Mhm.
Okay. Okay. What are teachers asking for actually? Teachers are asking how to talk to children about relationships, about sexuality, how to talk to children about gender, about LGBT, about homosexuality, about transsexualism. And what I tell children about, I tell to the children about the biological differences between male and female, when life begins, facts about sex, about male and female characteristics, behavior, research, hormone levels, body structural cycle, and so on. About gender identity, sexual orientation, and depths during adolescence, and about the importance of friendship. The challenges they are ahead as teachers. Easier challenge is actually learn or study a certain amount of information and transfer it to the children. My opinion is that more difficult challenges are to win the hearts of the young, convincing them that we mean it well with them, and to keep their attention. That is very difficult today. We want to help teachers. That's why I wrote a book for teachers and leaflet for young people. This is actually this book, to the young, the true. This is informative first aid manual or handbook for teachers, parents, educators, youth guides. It was created in response to questions from teachers who ask for advice on how to communicate with young people on current topics. As I mentioned already, there are in small space. This book contains thick scientific, medical, biological, psychological information, as well as testimonies or Christian inspiration and suggestion for discussion with young people. It has been said of the book, but it's embarrassing for me to read that. Okay, you can read it. For example, Teresia Lencová is founder of the Slovak Society for the Family. For example, she said that, or she told that I immediately read the whole book with pleasure. I am very happy with it. It is written as an echo of very current problems of young people who are growing up at a time when many adults have lost their way in strange ideologies. They don't care about their own happiness or the happiness of young people, and etc. Okay, for example, psychologist and psychotherapist, Associate Professor Eva Naništova, as she read this book, she wrote me that the book contains a multitude of knowledge and clearly elaborated data on the topic. Thanks for such necessary and sensitively written book. And for example, one teacher, I like all the chapters, the ones on gender, homosexuality, and dysphoria are especially well treated. Okay, and so on. This is leaflet for young people. Actually, this is about attraction to the same sex and about depths in gender identity or sex identity. And we want to help teachers, and that's why we also set up a website for teachers. It's called Učiteľom.sk. And actually some of recommended websites or videos about there are testimonies about from the transitioners, Zoe, Chloe, and etc. Or for example, I was transgender and I regretted. Or new movie, The Transition Diaries, or very famous YouTuber Father Mike about transgender, also very good YouTube video. I very recommend document what is a woman, or testimony from Changed. It is movement, I can say, or I would say, and also website, for example, Canavox. There are videos in this topic, and we prepare seminars for teachers. And actually, I would at the end I would say that our task is mainly Teenage children calm down, confirm their true biological sex, understand them, accompany them, work with professionals, but also pray, if we can, pray for them. And what said Dr. Christel von Holt, German doctor, their
Deals with.
He deals with the people with transsexualism. He wrote that transgender is a serious condition. The children deserve our compassion, our respect, but they also deserve to know the truth. Transgender is a psychological condition and should be treated psychologically, not with a surgical knife. We need to find better, more human and effective ways to help children who struggle with gender identity issues. Thank for your attention, for your ministry, and for your time.
Thank you very much for such profound, actually 2 lectures, one about Roma and one about education. And of course, you cannot cover all these things in such a short time. But now is open the floor for you, our dear guests today. If you would like to ask something directly, you can I think the organizer will unmute you, and you can directly ask the question if you want. Our guest, Renata, she needs to leave at 7 o'clock, so we need to finish at 7 o'clock. So we have still around maybe, I don't know, 12 minutes or 11 minutes for these questions. So would you like to ask directly? There are also some questions in the chat. Renata, can you see the questions which are in the chat?
There are no questions.
No questions.
No, Dorotka suggests to correct. Thank you very much, Dorotka. Okay, my translation. Marcia.
Yes, thank you very much for your presentation, and thank you, Lubika, for bringing this wonderful lady to this program. And I think your presentation, especially the second part, touched me very much, because what you are answering to is very important nowadays. I guess all societies, European society, is facing this problem of transgender and changing through operations and different types of treatments, the gender of children at such young age. And we need to know how to respond to this and what to offer in a positive way, in a creative way, that other people who are not quite sure about what it is, they won't entitle or call us old-fashioned people, because sometimes we are entitled that way when we are fighting for a kind of approach that is just the truth. And so thank you very much for having developed these lectures. And I think they are going to be quite important in the future. And maybe, who knows, you will be able to educate many professors and teachers in Slovakia, and maybe even in Europe. I think it's quite important. So thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Maybe I would like to say just a few words about the other topic, about Roma. Maybe this is a big issue in Slovakia, and not so much maybe in the West, but we have around how many, 500,000 Roma people in Slovakia, and many of them, they live really in very, bad condition or poor condition especially in the east of Slovakia. And there is a big problem with children coming to school. Many of them, they drop the school and have difficulties to finish their studies, and there are many, many problems. So this is so important work what Renata is doing with especially educating Roma women, that they can later influence their children and they can bring this education to their families. And I know that this is a long-term project, and it should also be developed more on the national level and maybe at least Eastern European level in those countries which they have also many Roma people. So any other questions you would like to ask, please? Don't hesitate.
Yes. I am Dorota from Slovakia, and I would like to stress that this work with Roma women would not be successful in such a measure or such a wide influence without God and this really religious approach that Renáta and her collaborators touch the innermost heart of these women, or every each person, because we were created an image of God, yeah. And I always felt that without this approach, this Roma question, as we call it here, would not be successfully treated. So this is, and I admire Renata already many years, and we cooperate with her, and it's a great how to say, honor and pleasure for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorota. That's completely true. That's actually after spiritual conversion, they realize how important it is to educate, to work, and actually they began to or they continue to study, to learn, to end high school or grammar school, and so on. And also, I would like to add to Marcia that that's completely true. Also, that actually I heard from students that they are such feeling that I am one step behind them. They are thinking that they are more information than me, and then I am one step behind them with information. And this is really very difficult to convince them that no, that's not true. You have only a lot of information from mainstream, but not this important or truly information.
Yeah. Okay, there is still time for a few questions if you would like to ask. We have 4 minutes to the end.
1 or 2.
Yeah.
And Breslin, right?
Nice to meet you. Yes, I just wonder what's your best suggestion for parents who have children who will suddenly come out to the parents and say, "Oh, mom, I'm lesbian or I'm gay or whatever, you know." So what is your best suggestion, the first approach to that kind of child? Because you can say nowadays, especially in the Western world, they seem like, you know, all this gay and lesbian is like blooming, is everywhere, you know. So yeah.
I would say that first suggestion or first aid or first approach in this situation, or what I'm also telling to the children or to the students, is that through the adolescence time or this period, you are in very
sensitive
turbulence period, and your hormones are very turbulent, and you can see it at yourself that your face is changing, everything on you is changing. That means also your mind is changing, because or level of your hormones is every day at a different level, and also more times in the day is at a different level. Yeah, that means what is a suggestion or a recommendation from psychologists, from really from doctors or psychologists, that in this time of this period till 26 is actually a new recommendation from psychologists, from science, till 26 years is recommended to don't do any any decision about your
gender.
sexual attraction or about your gender identity. Don't do any fatal decision now. Don't do. Just be calm. Wait. You have time. You don't need to do now some important decision. Wait. You have time. You can do, or you can build a friendship with girls, with boys, but don't do such fatal decision now.
Thank you. So what happened for those children that who are maybe around 30? Or if they ask you, how long shall I wait?
Actually, it's very important in this age to talk with them, to explain with them, actually, and of course to love them, to accept, but to try to convince them, don't do now fatal resolution or decision. You have time, because we have a lot of studies, a lot of testimonies that people after 20 they regret this decision.
But the question was, I think maybe you didn't understand that, what to answer for those who are after 30, like, after this, you said 26. So if, what to answer those who are like older already. This was
Okay. Actually, I tell it in two parts. Our task is to work with children or with young people. Okay, and the children, but they gave me such question, and I know older people about 30 or 40, and they are living homosexual lifestyle and they are happy. Okay, that's difficult. It's true. So it's difficult to say in English. Okay, but I try. I'm not called to judge somebody at first. Yeah, okay. It's not my task. It's actually not my business. I'm not called to judge somebody. But it's perhaps important to distinguish whether this is really homosexual or attraction to the same sex, sexual sex, the same attraction to the same sex. If there is not only disappointment in love, or some hurt or trauma during the kindness, during počas mladosti alebo minulosti.
During the young age.
During the young age, during the puberty. And perhaps these people also need good counseling. But as I said at the beginning, I don't have to judge some people.
Okay, so time is coming close to 7 o'clock. So I think this is the time to finish because Renata is going to another meeting. So thank you very much for your attendance today, that you came, and also, first of all, thank you, our dear presenter, Renáta Ocilková, and we can give a small applause, at least like this. And I hope that we don't see each other the last time, and maybe sometimes we will have an International Women's Federation European Conference in autumn in Cyprus. Am I right? And maybe it would be nice if we have time for more of such topics to develop. And, yeah.
Thank you, Lubica. Also,
thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice evening. Have a nice evening.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.